Welcome to What's Going On. What's Going On is a new effort of Children's Futures to highlight the positive contributions of people working to strengthen parenting and early child care education to make sure that children get off to a better start in life. Today on our show, we have Dolores Bryant of Children's Home Society. Thank you for being on our show, Dolores.
I'm glad to be here.
So I wanted to start off, I know you're running all the kinship services for Children's Home Society, and I wanted to just get a better idea of what types of services fall under, or programs I should say, fall under kinship services.
Well, first of all, the kinship services are designed to support kinship families. And kinship families are defined as families that are grandparents or other relatives who are raising children in their families.
Got it. So they're either grandparents raising their grandchildren or aunties raising their nieces or nephews?
Sometimes it's older sisters raising younger siblings. So
Okay.
yes, as long as there's a relationship.
So what type of services or programs do you provide to these caregivers? Or does the kinship services provide?
We actually provide an array of services, and our programs include our Kinship Navigator program, which provides a financial stipend that's funded by the state of New Jersey. We serve 7 different counties for that program.
Okay.
Those counties would be Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, Hunterdon, Somerset, Ocean, and Union counties.
Wow, okay.
We also have within that program the Kinship Legal Guardianship program, where we have a staff person who assists families with applying for Kinship Legal Guardianship, which is a form of custody. We also have our Mercer County Grand Family Success Center, which is funded through the Nicholson Foundation, which provides a variety of supportive services. And we finally, our newest program is the Kinship Connections program, which is a federally funded program which just started last November. And so that one also is providing supportive services. We're really excited because in January of this year, January 2012, we moved into a new location in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Because of the funding we received from our most recent grant, it allowed us to move into an expanded space.
Okay.
And we're excited because we now are able to co-locate all our services for kinship families in one location.
So it's all the kinship programs are now housed under one roof, and that's in Lawrenceville, correct?
Yes, it is.
Well, let me just back up a little bit. What kind of, what are some of the common struggles that you see from caregivers that are raising their nieces or nephews or grandchildren? And
well, you typically are looking at caregivers who are people who have already raised children. And so for most of us, after we raise our children and they come to adulthood, we think that we're finished and we can move on. Well, now these families get a surprise, and they get to basically expand their homes and their hearts to raise another generation. So some of the common struggles are, you may have a caregiver who was living in a 1-bedroom apartment or a senior housing area or an affordable housing unit, and they're on a fixed income, and now they need to figure out how to make adjustments in their economic situation to include housing for maybe 2 children. And some of those housing situations that they may be in may not allow children. They also have to figure out how to economically provide for children. So there's a stressor there. Also, these are people who have already raised children. So now they have to make adjustments to figure out how to parent again the new generation, which there are very similar, some similar parenting issues, but there's some new ones with the technology and some of the other things that they may not have dealt with before. And you also are talking about children who may have been traumatized at the very least by the separation from their biological parents and family. And some of our children and some of our caregivers have health and disability issues that the families are trying to cope with also.
So do these caregivers, they have the opportunity to go to groups and kind of talk through these issues and not only receive wraparound services, and tell me a little bit about those different wraparound services that you
Okay.
have.
The specific services vary, so they could apply through our navigator financial stipend, an annual financial stipend, where there are specific eligibility criteria which they have to meet. But if you look at our Grand Family Success Program and our Kinship Connections Program, we're providing supportive services through weekly support and education groups. So we normally have groups every Tuesday morning from about 10 to 12 for caregivers. And we cover a variety of topics.
So there's various ways that people can connect with the different services that you provide. If someone has a question about how to get in contact with you to learn more about these services, or if they, before I actually say that, there were some things that we talked about offline, that you talked about the health insurance piece, about some of these caregivers actually not having health insurance because they're not eligible yet for Medicaid and they're not covered under employer. How did
There are some caregivers who kind of fall in between. They may not be working right now, but they're not old enough to get Medicare yet, and they're not eligible for Medicaid. So we want to also keep our caregivers healthy because they have a big job in front of them caring for these children.
Absolutely.
So we try to make sure that they're evaluate what their needs are in terms of the health insurance and make a connection to our federally funded health clinics that are in the area. And make them aware of what those services are.
And there's limited transportation available as well to these different programs.
Transportation is always an issue.
Yeah.
We provide transportation twice a month for our groups, and a caregiver just has to call and reserve.
Okay.
We have limited seats, but we found that that's very helpful. We also recently in a group in terms of just empowering our caregivers, provided a lot of information about the transportation services that are available that they can apply for within the county and within the area, such as Mercer County Trade, Mercer Access, Link, some of those services, so that they can be empowered and have some options besides public transportation when they have to make their appointments.
So, so if there are people that do have additional questions, because our time is winding down, unfortunately, how can they get in contact with you or someone at the Kinship Services Group?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that our office is located at 168 Franklin Corner Road. We're on the second floor in Suite 220. And our telephone number there is area code 609-895-0283. Again, it's 609-895-0283. And if someone is interested in getting information or applying for the Kinship Navigator Program, which offers the financial stipend for kinship families, they can call our 1-800 number. And our 1-800 number is 1-800-396-4518.
We really appreciate the work that you're doing to strengthen parenting, to empower these caregivers and to empower our children so that they can start off with a good start in life. So we thank you for being on our show, and we hope to have you back.
You're most welcome, and thanks for the opportunity to talk about what we do.
No problem. And that's what's going on.